Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? It's a Wednesday between 5 and 6, sometime between there. And you know what that means? It's that time of the week where we get our scouting caps on, we get a wee pad and pen out, and we go scouting around European and world football, looking at the Celtic squad. What moves are we making? What does the rumour mill say? And, where can we find some gems to maybe give the Celtic scouting department some food for thought? Today we're live and we're loud, of course, guys, and I scheduled this. Excuse me, earlier in the week because we got the confirmation that OSMAND had signed on as a permanent, and we got the soft confirmation from Japan that Inamura is going to be making his move announced or permanent or whatever over the next couple of days. So I thought we would crack open the squad again, see where we're at. We've got some fresh rumours about outgoings. We've seen the departure of Greg Taylor. We'll maybe have a little bit of a mass for him, as it were, gone but not forgotten, leaving a modern Celtic icon. And maybe, a few more bits and pieces besides that. If you're watching us live and loud, thank you very much for supporting the show live by hitting the like button. Get into the comment section and let me know your thoughts and feelings on OSMAND, the outgoings, which we'll talk about. I don't want to spoil them in case you've missed one or two of them, as well as Inamura, Negren, and anything else in between. If you're watching this after we've been live, please do smash the subscribe button for more content like this. Of course, hit the like button and get into the comment section and let me know your main takeaways from the stream today as well. We are close, guys. We're super close to 13,000 subscribers, but we are pushing for 18,888, and we cannot do that without your support, guys. So if you do enjoy the content here, you've not done so already, please do smash the subscribe button. Now, yeah, there we go. There's that wee box. There we go. I meant to do it earlier, but we've got the little bubble box for the chat now on screen. So as you guys start to chat, it will come on screen and we can all get stuck into the chat together in a good way, which is great. Now, where to start? I think the Greg Taylor, I think Greg Taylor is a nice little place to start off with, just to kick the door open. Like, you guys have a bit of time to show up and go and get comfy, because transfers is a topic that I know we all love talking about. And especially when we have players leaving, opinions are never short in coming out. They're never too far away, let's say. So Greg Taylor, let me just go and pop his wee page up, his wee screen here. Greg Taylor, for me, is the most underrated player as across the fan base as a whole as I can remember we have ever had, to be quite frank. On this channel, we have gave Greg Taylor bouquet upon bouquet of flowers for his growth, his development, his performances, everything he's gave the club. He leaves with 11 or 12 winners' medals, I forget which, as I'm talking to you now. And he is honestly one of the things I love about football, and one of the things I love about watching the rise of some football players, is the challenges, the hurdles that they've got to overcome, the journey they go on, and ultimately where that leads them. And Greg Taylor, from coming to Celtic, was an losing battle. Replacing Kieran Tierney was never going to be an easy task for anyone. And he wasn't even meant to be the guy necessarily. He was just meant to be the guy that was like, okay, we've got a left back, and then can we go into the transfer market and sign Bolingoli, Laxall, Kenny, Valley, Burnaby? Can we go and try and find some other guy to be the Tierney replacement? And none of them came anywhere near close to doing that. And Taylor very much did. But where Taylor kind of, gets confused or gets misunderstood, is the way of putting it, is, his role that he's had, especially under Ange Postecoglou and laterally under Brendan Rodgers, of being the inverted fullback. And on the channel, we've been saying it on here for 2 or 3 years quite comfortably. Taylor's probably been the best midfielder in the squad for the last 2 or 3 years. His ability to overload the opposition, to pop up in wild card situations that just help us against those two really deep banks of four that love to protect the castle in Scottish football, but having that extra man, that extra gambit kind of player, as it were, just asks another level of questions to opposition defences. And Taylor, directly or indirectly, has been responsible for so much of being what is so good at Celtic over the last few years. If we have a little look at the tail of the tape for him, this is a guy that every time he's performed for us, his ratings out of 100, based on Opta statistics and all the rest of it, is it really does show you the actual contributions that he's making throughout the match, progressing the ball into the final third, chance creation, dual success. We all know he has had those deficiencies at the top level when it comes to the most difficult opponent in the Champions League. Sometimes in the derbies, he's been quite good. You know, where I actually meant to bring it out today, but I've got a Greg Taylor "Shut Up, Fat Boy" scarf, or "Shut Your Hole, Fat Boy." And you know, he was good in the derbies. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sure he had an exceptional derby performance off the top of my head, but this is a guy that, like, here's a good one here: 93 against them, the 3-0 win back in September. Get himself a wee cheeky assist. That was September 24. So yeah, last year. There's a good one looking at us right in the face. But sincerely, like, a player that I think has been way underrated, way overlooked in his time at Celtic. And I'm a bit sad that he's went to Greece, to be honest with you. I think Greece is very low down on the pecking order of football and leagues in Europe. I think it's behind the Scottish League in a lot of ways. Where Scotland kind of falls down when it comes to the quality of the league, the standing of the league versus its European opponents, is a little bit of the modern foot, having attacking players all the way through the league, having clubs that can produce their own homegrown players. And generally, when you watch two opponents face off each other, how entertaining is it? How engaging is it? And how one-sided is it? If you want to think about the negatives side of things. And Greece, for me, like, Greece is one of these leagues that, with PAOK, as it's called, PAOK, as I hear everyone else saying, but PAOK are mega rich, like mega rich. They pay big wages, so that's certainly why Taylor's went there. But Panathinaikos, Olympiakos, and laterally you'd probably put AEK Athens into that kind of fold there. It should be a league that's on par with Portugal, with Holland, maybe Belgium, I don't know, but it's not. It just does. Players just do not come out of Greece into the wider European transfer market. None of the Greek teams really do anything in Europe. And, even look at Palma, you know what I mean? Like, Palma played for Aris, I think it was, and was like their talisman, main guy. And even when we went back to Olympiacos, couldn't get in their team, So it's like it's a real low-level division, I think. It does have some really big clubs in it, very historic clubs, great fanatical fan base. Greece is very well known for it. I grew up, I was in Cyprus, bit of a tangent, sorry, but I was in Cyprus for Euro 2004. And, like, if you know anything about Cyprus, where you go on holiday is basically Greece, isn't it? And I was there for everything, and there was street parties. It was brilliant. It was one of my favorite footballing memories. And I was like, 2004, so what would have been 15, 16, depending on, probably been 16. So, yeah, like, I'm a big fan of the place. I'm not trying to, like, downplay it or anything like that. But when I seen that he's went to PAOK, they're in the Europa League this year. Taylor will probably do really well in the Europa League compared to Champions League, certainly. And I'm pretty sure PAOK have also signed John Joe Kenny as well. So that'll be an interesting one. But anyway, Taylor, he leaves, in my opinion, a hero, a modern hero at Celtic. He's very well decorated. And I'm sure as time passes on, there'll be two things that will help Taylor here. Number one, other left backs that are not called Kieran Tierney not being up to his standard. I think that will become a thing over time. Like, he's not even as good as Greg Taylor, or, that kind of chat. And the second thing that I think is kind of tainted his image, his legacy at Celtic, or maybe not his legacy, but his career at Celtic, is the amount of times any team we played against would just shell balls over Taylor's head into that little pocket between him and Scales. And when you see other teams picking on a part of your team, picking on a side of the pitch, it just, you then feel insecure about it. You then feel, they're really confident that they're going to get some change out of that. Our left-hand side isn't good enough. He's not strong enough. He's not this, he's not that. And see, the longer time goes on where we're not victim to that anymore, that will be forgotten. And it will be, why did we all give Taylor a hard time? That I can already feel it coming down the path, as it were. So Taylor, I think so. As a wee bit of pushback from the DG, maybe. But yeah, honestly, like, how is he not a hero? Like, one thing you've got to remember about the context of all this as well is, I was talking about this with Paul John about Ange. Might have been on the show, might have been afterwards on Monday or whatever, Friday. But when Taylor was here for that, of course, but we were at rock bottom after Gerrard won the league for them. And to go on to the heights that we did was amazing. It's almost as if we never missed a beat. And imagine we didn't miss a beat and we won that title. We would be on 14 in a row, going for 15 in a row. You know what I mean? So I think it's quite easy to remember the some of the Champions League games where he maybe got like bullied out of the game, or some of those bigger derby matches where he didn't like grab it by the scruff of the neck. I think as time goes on, he'll be remembered very, very fondly. I've only got fond memories of him, and I wish him all the best. I think we all would agree with that as well. Yeah, fair enough, San Francisco. Fair enough. I just wanted to start off with that. Gives a wee bit of time. We've only been talking about it for 10 minutes. Gives a wee bit of time for all you guys to get in here, get comfy with your phones, your computer, your headphones, whatever it is you're up to. Smash the like button and get into the live chat. That was all. So, Taylor, thank you very much for your service. We wish you all the best in the Europa League and the Greek Super League next year. And yeah, love to see it. Hail, hail. Lots of you guys in the chat. Love to see it. Giggsy the Poet, Graham. Kevin Graham, my man. I've totally just went blank, sir. Sorry. It's just Giggsy the Poet always throws me off. And then, yeah, I love the fight back there, or the back and forth with Boyd. Sorry, that whole thing just totally threw me off there. Yeah, exactly. Good, strong servant. And okay, I think this is where I want to pick up. Well, what we do is European. Let's have a peek, right? Let's just have a wee peek, then we'll move away from it, right? Let's do Champions League as the highlighter, and we can go all the way back to 2023. So this is pretty much just Ange time, isn't it? So Feyenoord didn't do great. Lazio did okay. Atletico Madrid stunk. It was kind of the bigger games where he stunk, didn't it? Yeah, away in the Metropolitano, we got rinsed at Celtic Park. He conceded the penalty, of course. What was this? Away to Lazio, nothing amazing. And I think that was the thing. Like, see the Lazios and the Feyenoords, the Bruges. I feel that he was kind of all right for that. But it was the top end teams, the Borussia Dortmunds, the Reals, the Atleticos. Did he play against Atalanta? I think it was Valley, wasn't it? Yeah, he didn't play against Atalanta. Did well against Leipzig. Did well against Zagreb. Like, I mean, like, I think you see his level. I think Europa League probably sums it up quite nicely. But yeah, not perfect. No one's saying he is. Yeah, actually getting played in midfield. It's desperate times call for desperate measures, isn't it? To be the actual midfielder rather than the roaming left back that can infiltrate midfield. And then yeah, let's pick up with this, right? So we did a under the microscope session, is what I'm just going to make up. I've called it now. On Inamura last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry. Last week we had Alan from J Soccer Magazine. You guys seem to love that episode, by the way. The comment section is absolute fire. And Alan is good crack, isn't he? But Alan, everyone who I've heard talk on this guy, everyone says he can play left back. But like, as you've seen from last week, like, I have got no conviction that this is a left back move at all whatsoever. I think, if anything, this is a scales left back move, to be honest with you. Maybe we'll see what happens in the fullness of time. But since we scouted him, he went on to score against Avispa. And then he's played his last 2 games against Kawasaki Frontale in a 3-1 loss. And he played against Machida Zelvia in a 4-0 loss. And actually, I just want to check this because his rating will be very low because of the amount of goals he conceded. But what I was interested in was his pass count. Was it still really high? No, it was only 47. Because some of the games he's did very well, and he's got a very, very high pass count. And with Inamura coming into the squad now, Taylor on the way out, it maybe feels that pre-Champions League qualifier is probably how the squad is going to set out for the most part. I definitely should. Oh, I definitely should have, by the way. Huge missed opportunity, Mark Nisbet with his finger on the pulse. That would have been brilliant. The chat is absolutely flying away, guys. I'll try and catch up with it. No need to be sorry. It's just the name thing, because it says Giggsy the Poet, and then I've just got call him Giggsy in my head, but obviously I know your real name, and then it just all kind of mushed in my brain together. So yeah, Alan is a buzz, totally, and he's welcome back on the channel anytime at all. He is taller than Taylor for sure, but I think let's add him into the depth chart now in Inamura. It feels like the signing is all but done. It's just about getting T's crossed and I's dotted. He is a bit more imposing. Now, we might move into a bit more of like a defensive 4. So at the moment, we have had Taylor doing the snakes and ladders moves right all across the pitch. And we've had AJ being the underlap, the overlap. We want the fullbacks to go on. I think Brendan is going to stay to that, right? But Inamura could maybe be... Do you know what I thought I had yesterday? Is let's imagine Trusty let's imagine Trusty and yeah, let's not imagine. Let's just change names. This is a thought I had, right? Is let's imagine in Brendan's mind, it's Trusty and Vickers as the first up partnership, right? Inamura is going to be back up to Trusty. We've got whoever remains. It feels like Lagerbielke to Braga is almost, but a transfer is almost going to be done. And I think that's a really good move for us, by the way. Braga are a team that sell players into La Liga and up the food chain in Portugal. So even if we sell this guy for a bit of a loss on transfer fee, as long as we're smart and getting a sell-on clause on it, that'll be a really good move. And on top of like O and Bernabe and one or two of the other these players that we've had lying around, those are positive success stories that even Inamuras and these types of players, it makes it coming to us a bit easier. Because they know, if it doesn't work out there, it's quite easy to get a decent landing spot thereafter. But yeah, so we've got two trustees here, so we need to change that to Scales. But what I was thinking, right, is imagine this is Brendan's thinking, right? CCV and Trusty, Tierney and Johnson, right? Looks pretty strong. It'll probably be most of your guys' first choice 11. But see if Scales was to be the backup left back, you're not going to get Scales marauding. We know that. Could Scales, because if you think about Taylor, right, where most people give him credit for is sliding in and holding hands with McGregor. Scales could maybe do that. I don't know. It's just a thought I had. Certainly, it's like, I wonder, because when we have seen Scales in dominant games, and even I think maybe one occasion Brendan played on left back this year, this is the sort of area of the pitch that he just kind of gets into. We never seen him like bombing up the line or anything like that. And I say, even when we do see him gallop up the pitch, it's through this kind of central channel here, if anything. And that made me think, well, Scales, maybe he's quite up to speed with that role. And if you wanted to mix it up to give Tierney some minute relief or whatever, you start Scales. And then with Scales, you can do the Taylor thing, maybe, where you just put another man in there next to McGregor, gives him a bit of license to roam around and maybe do the wild card stuff a bit more. And you've kind of got a quasi three at the back, with Scales being like somebody that can engage with the ball a bit higher up. It does leave this big pocket back here. But again, Trusty has been signed to be the pacey recovery guy. So again, he's had to do that for Taylor. Wouldn't be a role that's unfamiliar to him entirely. So that was a little thought I had crossed my mind, I think 2 days ago or maybe even yesterday. But I think this is probably the way it's going to set out for the most part as things stand now going into the Champions League qualifiers, where Scales is the de facto centre-back and left-back partner. Let's see what happens with Murray. Lagers is on his way out. We expect Naroki and Welsh to be not too far behind. But then Inamura is a backup centre-back. Scales is also a backup centre-back. And you've got left-back cover. Like, to get us to the qualifiers, which I think is the number one job of the transfer department at this point in time, this might be the plan of attack. Because for Champions League qualifiers for the beginning stage of the league, if you have to take off Kieran Tierney, I'm not confident at putting Inamura on, a guy that's got, like 38 first-team appearances or something like that. He's never played European football. He's never played continental football. Yes, he's been to a domestic cup final, but I don't know. It's an interesting one. It'll be really interesting to watch, I suppose, and see how it develops. I've got Celtic here are going to be in the building. I was going to say in town, but in the building for the friendly we've got on Friday against Queen's Park or whatever it is. So that'll be interesting to hopefully see maybe how some of the defence does shuffle out, any sort of changes to the pattern of play. I do see a few bits of chat in here about maybe a change of shape, a change of dynamic. And I think a change of dynamic, yeah, kind of maybe a bit of the Ayers. Yeah, I can see that's a great comparison, Simon Fideni. Great shout. Love that. That was Brendan that did that as well. Hoops must be recruiting a left and right-sided defensive type. Yeah, you would think, well, Brendan does like Murray, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was just Murray Welsh we keep, get rid of Naroki and Lagerbielke and just like consolidate and try and get more out of one of them. The Serb guy as well, you guys keep mentioning him in the live chat. If he's 6 million quid, he won't be getting done until we sell Lagers and Naroki and or qualify for the Champions League. I just don't see us spending. Like Negren was under 2 million. I've just got a feeling that we won't spend more than 4 million on anyone until the transfer, until the Champions League thing is done. And the business we're doing now, like it was funny. I mentioned, I forget where it was, but I've been listening to the Daily Record YouTube channel once or twice a week recently, just to kind of keep up to date with, because those guys are journalists, they're kind of clickbait merchants and whatever, but they do know folk and they do say stuff. So it's just nice to keep your finger on the pulse with that one. So I don't mind tuning into it and listening to it sometimes. And, when they're talking about Celtic, they're all blue noses, as you know, at the Daily Record. What's his name? Keith Jackson and whatever. And when they talk about Celtic doing business now, they're saying this is Celtic's retaliation. Celtic's retaliation to the 49ers takeover is to sign Inamura and OSMAND and Negren to keep ahead of Rangers. And we don't really talk about Rangers too much on the show, on the channel, out of context, out of a match preview or just general chat or whatever. But when I heard that, I thought, you guys are actually like as short-sighted as it comes if you think this is because of Rangers. This is entirely for Champions League qualifiers. They even went on to say that, like Celtic are thinking about, Rangers, we need to stay ahead. No, Celtic are thinking, we need to get back into that group stage where we made more money than the people that won the Europa League. That's what we need to guarantee we get again. So anyway, that's the strategy with this, is qualify for the Champions League. And Inamura, I think, probably gives like a nice, fresh blood is a very hard to quantify thing. Fresh blood is good in a squad. Fresh blood is good in any sort of working team environment, whether it's, if it is someone like Negren that can lift the level, brilliant. If it's someone like Inamura that's just maybe not as negative, deflated, defeated as Naroki or Lager, BLK or Kobayashi or whoever you want to think about, these are just positive things, Yeah, he didn't look, again, we did a, Frank, I think you might have been there for it, but I'm not super convinced from what I've seen. And I think when we spoke to Alan, he kind of backed up the fact that this is a bit early for a move for a guy like this. But like we've seen, the amount of Japanese lads that end up in Europe do make the step, and then we are like, we don't really want to pay that much money for them. If they're very confident in how they've scouted this guy, it probably will work out okay. But I've not been convinced from what I've seen in the scouting sessions that we've done and other ones that I've done since. We need 4 tall backliners. Yeah, well, that's kind of what would be happening here, eh? I know Ralston and Johnson aren't man mountains, but neither one of them are as small as like Taylor, for example. Dane Murray's obviously pushing the average height of the squad as well. And if you think about scales, Inamura's no small guy either. Then yeah, we're definitely lifting the height of the squad here, aren't we? Get him on the fish suppers, love a bit of that. There we go. You didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that, mate. It's just, it's like when you're live and the chat's going. It sometimes can just scramble your brain for a second. That's all. Yeah. I know it's not perfect, right? I get that. But those journalists do know stuff, and I'm not interested in Rangers necessarily, but I do like to be aware of what they're up to, and they do talk about Celtic, and there are journalists that have sources. It's always I just always find it beneficial to to keep abreast of all sources, and eventually one of them will maybe feed you some good intel. Thoughts on Nicky Cadden? I don't mind that. Nicky Cadden, clearly for me, the best crosser in the division last year. He's too old, but he's too old. I don't know if you noticed. I remember you talking about Jonosuke Suzuki. Great engine on him. He's signing for Copenhagen. I missed that, but that's probably why we didn't go for him, because I bet you Copenhagen paid. Let's actually just go and check it out. I'm going to guess Copenhagen have paid. What did we pay them for Negren? Like 2 million? I'm going to guess for Jonosuke Suzuki, I'm going to guess they've paid 3 million euros or more. So let's see, Suzuki. Copenhagen. Is that how you've put it? Copenhagen, yeah. Let's see if it comes up. I maybe need to change it to Copenhagen. Oh, and do you know, the first person that comes up is Alan's pal, Ryo. What was his name of his thing again? Samurai or Shogun? Shogun football, wasn't it? Nice shirt he's got on there, eh? Nice shirt he's got on. Yeah, no details on fee for this one, but this is who we should have got. Not Fukuda, he's went to Bromby. But this is the guy we should have got, Jonosuke Suzuki. Much closer to being European ready, senior international as well. I just don't see any chat about the fee. We'll maybe see that come out in the fullness of time. This is a guy, big mobile centre back, can play fullback as well. And yeah, Copenhagen have maybe just outbid us on this one if we were even interested in him. There's no way he would have been priced anywhere near what Inamura is. Yeah, I'm not seeing any reports of a fee at this point. See if it is nominal, I will be upset. Not upset, like, oh, I can't believe this, but like, oh, come on, Celtic. That guy was blatantly the guy to go for, you know, if he is nominally priced, as it were. Inamura be sent on loan. I could see that happening. But I don't think it'll happen until whatever housekeeping we're doing in defence is done. Because even if we take him out the picture and think he's going to get punted out on loan, there's not really much here, you know, like the depth wise, never mind quality. We're used to having so many heads in here. So yeah, good to see the move coming over. And I think this is a guy with low pressure, low expectations. At 300k, you can't really go too far wrong footballing wise. Doig is an interesting one as well. Sassuolo have just been promoted back to Serie A. And I think there might be some domestic Italian interest from him. I don't see him wanting to come to Celtic to play backup, but 3 million euros for Laggers, nice. I seen 2 million, so if we've got it up to 3, that's brilliant. And hopefully we've got a nice week and a sell-on clause there as well. But we've seen that fullback, that left back is an area that needs a lot of attention. And as I say, Rogers is on record as saying Scaldini can be utilised at left back. We've not heard the same about Trusty, and who everyone keeps telling me Inamura can play left back, but I just don't see it from what I've seen of him, unless it is like really like maybe it's like when Tierney plays, we can bomb up the left, and if Tierney doesn't play, we just tuck right in. Imagine it's Scales or Inamura, and we let AJ fly. I could see something. I could see that kind of thing happening, but he's not a Tierney doppelganger. He's not going to maintain system. So yeah, nice to see him come in. He's too old. Yeah, I kind of get that a little bit. No, I didn't call Parkhead Celtic land slabbering cabbage, right? What I said was imagine redeveloping the footprint to the extent that it would be like Celtic land, you know, like you get there, you know, there's tons of stuff going on. There's statues, there's memorials, there's different, like maybe like live music, different stuff going on. That's what I said. Not calling Parkhead Celtic land, you know. But imagine the whole area was, you know, like going to Celtic land, you know. He did, but he's not played left back for us. And well, do you know, he has played left back a little bit for us. I mentioned it in the report card video. If you go back and check out Zagreb, if you've forgotten, he was left centre back, but we dominated them so much that Trusty against Zagreb was very much in these areas of the pitch. I probably would fancy Trusty rather than Scales at left backs. He's got that little bit more mobility, but yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Come at me with it. I don't mind, guys. I don't mind. I can take a good laugh. As long as you're smashing that like button, the first magic number we need to get to is 67 before we then try and get to 88. So we're at 53 at the moment. Smash the like button if you've not done so already. Oh, Jungle Land. That could be good. And yeah, I don't think there's any news. It was in that kind of conversation, Kieran. Hope Trusty hits the gym. Well, he definitely will be now that he's a father. I'll tell you that for nothing, because if he's waking up in the middle of the night and all the rest of it and kind of get back to sleep, I'm sure he's got a big enough pad where he's maybe got some at-home gym facilities. Could be a good way for him to find himself sleeping again. So yeah, defence has had some movement. No more Taylor and Inamura in. Doesn't feel like an upgrade situation, but because Tierney's came in, it kind of cancels all that out anyway, because Tierney's just so far and above what we've got at the moment. Now, if we have a wee look at up front, is what I kind of wanted to focus on a little bit today as well, right? Because Callum Osmond has signed, and Johnny Kenny now has a £1 million bounty on his head. Anyone can come and get him for that price. There's rumours of Yang getting loaned out as well. I'm seeing coming around the place. And it feels like the kind of consensus on Kuhn has become, we're keeping him until we qualify. We're doing the whole Fraser Foster, Virgil van Dijk, insert Celtic player, thing where we tell them, we will sell you, but not until we're done with you. You're going to get us qualified for the Champions League, and then we'll sell you. Celtic, at every turn, want to have their cake and eat it, and we're going to do it with you, Nicholas Kuhn. And I think that's what will happen. And so we still have 12 green dots, because I'm not terribly sure where Negren does fit into this. If Kuhn is to move on, I think it's quite comfortable to imagine if no other transfers were to happen in that position, that's probably the way it would shake up, right? But with Osmond, so let's imagine Kenny finds his way out the door. Osmond is a player that I only started checking him out when we were linked to him, and I had a kind of cursory glance on Inamura is all but official. His club announced the other day he won't play the final J-League match, which is this weekend, and he's going to be making a move to Europe. We're the only club linked, so yeah, Kenny's out of contract in 12 months, so the club are trying to move him on for £1 million. I wouldn't be against extending his contract and loaning him out. But yeah, it feels like a move we're probably going to have egg on our face with. We'll lose Johnny Kenny probably for nothing in a year from now. But Osmond, on further evaluation, I was really impressed with his interview and stuff like that, don't get me wrong, but actually going into the highlights in a bit more detail, seeing the sort of goals that he's been scoring as well, I'm actually quietly excited about Callum Osmond here, because what we've not had, right? The thing that we want from the academy is to produce players that can compete with the first team and give us something from the bench. If we do lose players through transfers or for injuries, can fill the void, can carry the load, can do that sort of thing themselves. And Osmond is very much primed to do that. The development that these guys have in Premier League 2 and just even elite European clubs. I know Fulham aren't an elite European club or whatever, but the access to facilities and coaching personnel that they have is certainly up there, as we've seen. I think this guy's going to do well for us. I'm not sure how he's going to do in terms of minutes, and if we sign another striker, what that'll kind of have as an impact on him or whatever. But I don't know. I've got a good feeling. It's not like Gary Hooper, because Gary Hooper was a goal scorer when he came to us, but it's that kind of vibe I've got from this guy, that he is just going to find his way to the back of the net when he gets his minutes. Same as when you look at Johnny Kenny, got his one goal, he could have had 4 or 5. And is that on him? Could Dyson have squared the ball to him? There's a few things like that going on. But I think if we'd put Osmond into similar situations, he probably comes out with more than one goal. Might actually be breathing hard at the back. Yeah, I think so. I do think so as well. Because one thing that Ida, I'm a fan of Ida. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Ida. I'm a fan. If you check out the report card video we did on the channel a week or two ago, we go through the tail of the tape for him. So feel free to check that out. But one thing he does lack is his passing game isn't great for a start. But one thing he does lack is being able to drive up the pitch. A few times we have seen him gallop on a counter-attack or whatever, but he's not beating people. He's not bouncing it out to the wide player and then getting it back once he's broke the offside trap or anything like this. And this Osmond, I think he just has another string to his bow than what Ida has in that regard. I think he's built better to be a team player in that sense of if we are breaking from deep, he can bounce it off a wide player and get it back into some space. Or if we're building up and we ask Ida to do, drop into a pocket, just, get into someone's blind spot, get a few touches of the ball, suck someone else out of position, play around the corner and then turn and run yourself. I think Osmond will be a bit more prolific at that, will be a bit more proficient at that. He does need to make a step up from the level he's been at to our level, of course. But I'm quietly hopeful. I don't know if I'd say confident, quietly hopeful this OSMAND, we might be winning a watch with him, by the way. I'd like to see us keep Kenny same. If you look at O, right? O was not happy to be third choice. He would have been quite happy to be second choice, but third choice, he wasn't going to do it. And at second choice, you can see even the development he's had in Belgium. Not even in a great situation with Genk, not playing that regularly, or not starting ever really, but playing regularly. And I think you could easily get Johnny Kenny into a team in Belgium or Portugal, quite low down the table, because that's probably where you would get him into. But I think he would develop very, very well. And if he's under contract, then we only benefit from that. Rumours of Kenny down at Preston and our interest in the Cork winner is kicking up. Is this the Irish Lamine Yamal? Is that what you're telling me? An interest in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, if we did bring Calvert-Lewin in, on profile, I would be very surprised, because I think Brendan, as we've seen with his propensity to pick, or his, let's just move Ida down here for a second. He wanted to play Dyson through the middle to replace Kyogo. He likes that mega press. He likes all three guys really nipping and zipping and high octane, high tempo, and like clinical together. And I think that's maybe still going to be the best three the way things sit at the moment. Jota comes back from injury. Maybe we sign someone else on top of it. But I think if we were to sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin on top of OSMAND and Ida, it means all of our strikers are kind of the same mould. I don't think that's Brendan's bag, personally. So I'm not, and I spoke about it on Axom as well. Like, I just don't see any dimension that Calvert-Lewin comes to Celtic, unless Ida moves on. Yeah, Ida doesn't deserve to be an automatic starter. Yeah, fair enough. I'd go along with that. Evan Ferguson is one that, again, super, super high ceiling, and is the sort of player that really should go to someone like Celtic and like rediscover their career, get their mojo back, their va-va-voom, their whatever, and then kick back onto the peak of their potential. Sorry, there's a wee bit of Ida debate going on in here. 3-4-3, again, I've heard people saying we might be changing shape. I just don't think Brendan really has a big change of formation in him. I just don't see it. I think because one thing that you need if you're going to play 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 3-1-2, 3-4-1-2, whatever, is you need exceptional engines in the wide areas. And Dyson did that for Ange. If you remember the Feyenoord game, we played like a weird shape. Like, was it 3-5-2? Dyson was like left wing back against Feyenoord. Memory serves me right. He could do it, but do you want him doing it? Hell no. On the right, AJ could do it. But if AJ couldn't do it, Ralston, we've seen him do it for Scotland. They could do it to an extent. But again, you're trying to break Kieran Tierney, I think, if you put him in this position rather than left centre back. And if you're putting Tierney into left centre back to make a back three, we have no left wingers. Like, they could do that shift. So you're asking for two players to come in. I just don't see it. Logistically, I just don't think it's there. David Stalker, who has outed himself. This is Brendan Rodgers' alt account, by the way. So, David, Brendan, good to see you, my man. Look forward to seeing the game on Friday. We're going down the cheap route, are we? I don't know who's a £28 million forward. Is that Evan Ferguson? I thought that would be a loan with a buy obligation, Brendan. Let us know. But yeah, I don't see us spending 28 either. I think we'll break our... Excuse me. I think Kev Graham was one of the ones I heard saying it. I heard somebody saying it on Axom this week, and I totally echo it. But I think we break our transfer record this summer as well, as long as we get back into the Champions League. But yeah, if Yang goes out on loan, if Bing somehow gets someone to take Palma off our hands, you're looking at Negren to replace Kuhn. We are still missing one more Calvert-Lewin sized in terms of profile, monetary value, or whatever, a Kyogo replacement. We're still missing one of them in attack. Make no mistake about it. There is rumours, or there was word that Telio's going to get a look in this pre-season, so just keep your eyes peeled on that one. But I think OSMAND is a really good addition, because like I was trying to kind of set up earlier, you want the academy to provide you options for the bench that can affect matches from the bench, or can help the squad carry the load and manage the season. And we've not managed to do that. And you just need to look around the world. Any club that doesn't really have a good academy, or an academy that is producing players of any note, you just go and buy from other people's academies, plain and simple. The amount of teams that just pick out of La Masia and just take all the players that Barca don't graduate or whatever. These things happen all across Europe all the time. And it's definitely it's like a shortcut trick for us. It's like a cheat, because if we don't have those young players coming through, we're just finding one from somewhere else. And the trajectory, the progression path that he's been on at Premier League 2, Youth Internationals and whatever, is exactly what we would want from anyone in our academy, which we just do not have at the moment. Daniel Cummings, by the way, had an interesting little parting shot saying at West Ham there is a clear pathway to the first team. You don't get that at many clubs. I am slightly paraphrasing. But he's definitely... So Daniel Cummings is going to West Ham to play Premier League 2, because that's a huge step up from what he's been doing. And we are pulling a guy out of Premier League 2 that is ready to get into our first team, unlike, in probably the club's opinion, Brendan Rodgers' Daniel Cummings, because I think although the contract thing kind of petered out, the fact that he played him against Villa showed that he was at least willing to try him out or whatever. But I don't know. I don't think... We'll see how he develops and whatever, but I don't think it was clear-cut, get this guy into the team kind of situation. I didn't think the same about Rocco Vata, and he's done quite well at Watford in context. But yeah, I think Pau, P-A-O-K, Pau, as everyone calls them, they pay a lot. They pay big money. Like I'm fairly certain... Let's go and check it out. You know me, I love to go and put a wee page on. Let me go and get this open. I'm fairly certain. You guys will remember... P-A-O-K. Yes, it was him. It was him. I knew it was. Just wanted to check before I said it. Their chairman went onto the pitch with a gun. Do you remember this? Because he wasn't happy with the referee, thought the referee was being biased and all that. This guy is mad, and he's pretty rich. They pay a lot, they expect a lot, and yeah, he'll be getting paid handsomely. I've got no doubt about it. How do you block unwanted content? Is that for this channel, Jake? Hope it's not. If it's someone in the chat you don't like, you just block them and you don't see. I think that's probably quite right. The formation will be relatively fluid or whatever, but I think Taylor will be getting a king's ransom to play there. He'll be getting... I don't think they've just met his demands, but I think the sort of range he was after for compensation, he would have had that met, So I think Osmond is a kind of cheat code to help us with the lack of development we've had from the academy over the last year and a bit, or since Brendan's returned. Inamura might actually be a similar kind of case where you're just after a young up-and-coming defender to push the best guys that could maybe make the step up in time, rather than a guy like Naroki or Lagers that's like, I want to play today, So I think that may be a little bit of these moves. And obviously Negren, as we know, is Champions League quality, as a top caliber pick for us. We've just got in a really sweet situation. We've acted fast, we've acted decisive, and we've absolutely won a watch on it. Martin Weir, I'm good, mate. Good to see you. Guetta Grip, good to see you. Yep, Telio is back in the building. Well, we do have a natural number 10, I would say, in Ben Negren. And if you go back and watch the Ben Negren video we did on the channel, I told you my first fear was that Negren was an Hatate replacement. And maybe that's not to be ruled out yet. But the point of that is Negren, I think his attributes, his qualities will be best served feeding the front three rather than being in the front three. So I think he will be what you think we're missing, Craig. Yes, I do, Maestro. Yes, I do. Never, mate, never. Schlupp, no idea. Yeah, I don't think... See these guys in Nordisland, the actual wonder kids that they've got, they're not going for the fees that Negren went for. They're going to make mega money on them. I don't think there's a... I think Celtic could get a deal done with Motherwell. No problem at all. I just think it's Lennon Miller. Like if you're Lennon Miller, if you're Lee Miller, his dad, how do you look at this depth here in mid? Let's get rid of Quan, right? Let's move Tillio out of sight. McCowan, Rio. Let's put Negren here. And then I'm going to put him in white. Maybe you'd put him in green, right? But right, look at this. When does Lennon Miller play? Who does Lennon Miller play against? How many minutes does Lennon Miller get over his contract or his season or whatever in this midfield? The answer will not be as much as you deserve, quite frankly, because we will never drop McGregor. We will never bomb out £13 million angles. And Brendan, Rio Hatate only missed the last 2 games of the season down to injury. Otherwise, he would have played in every match this season. So if he's not leaving, you've got Bernardo, you've got McCowan. I just don't see where Lennon Miller gets minutes unless Hatate was to leave. If Hatate was to leave, I think the midfield very easily becomes McGregor, Engels, Lennon Miller. And, you know, I said this at the time as well, but Lennon Miller, if we had Ronnie Deila in charge, would have been the Matt O'Reilly replacement. We wouldn't have got Arnie Engels, you know, and I'm not because of Ronnie Deila being some sort of genius, but just if Celtic were still in that like penny pinching mode of we don't spend big money on players and all that, we would have got Miller and played him rather than Engels, and we wouldn't be in this position. Not that I would rather one over the other necessarily. We need quality Scottish players. I agree. There's not too many of them out there we can bring in. There was rumours that Celtic have been chatting to Robertson, and I still hold a bit of hope that we get McGinn when he's done with Aston Villa. He's now been at Aston Villa for 10 years, and I think that's the quality Scottish players that we maybe get over the next 5 years or so, because the young ones all want to go to Italy and different countries and that only does serve them better ultimately, unless they're going to play for us week in, week out, like we've seen previously with Taylor. For what that was worth in McGregor, obviously. Yeah, I can't see it either. I just do not see it. The teams that are interested in him from the continent, Strasbourg, Frankfurt, USG, and there's another one or two that are quite interesting, all need a guy like him and all have a track record of playing youth players, young players, guys like him. So I just don't see it happening. There's so many hurdles to it. Yeah, I just don't see it. But they won't get the same wages. That's the thing, you know. Like, I think Robertson's probably got one more mega contract in him because he's a Champions League winner, just won the Premier League. So, yeah, I could see him at an Inter Milan, a Juve, a Serie A's kind of where I see Robbo, to be honest, before maybe having a final hurrah at Celtic. But McGinn, I can see McGinn just coming up the road, just taking whatever. Well, I would just pay everyone else here. Been on Premier League money for 10 years, you know what I mean? Champions Leagues, and McGinn's fine, you know, I don't think he's too bothered. Love it, love it, love it. So, yeah, it feels like there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces, but with the first pre-season friendly coming up this week, I think business is going to be all but done until the qualifiers are in. Unless something develops like Negren, where we just get a real tap in of a situation where, like, of course we're going to buy him for £2 million. Why wouldn't we? I'm not too sure there's many more of them going around. I think Balikwisha has a real point of contention where we're trying to haggle on fee and everything else. We've had some rumours to some defensive midfielders, some guys that are quite hard tackling. I've heard no more links with Engels out, to be honest with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I hope OSMAND gets a good run. Me too. We get to see him in pre-season as well, wouldn't it? Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I think if he was going to play every week, I think they would have hop, skipped, and jumped to Celtic to play Champions League football and to win medals and stuff. But with the competitive level of the squad, not that he's below the level or he would struggle or whatever, but he's just not going to play all the time. And guys at his age, like Negren, we're talking about Negren having played 200 games at the age of 22, 23 or whatever. And that's the track that Lennon Miller's on, you know. No one knows for certain AR, but I think consensus would be OSMAND is a bit more physically developed. I think strength is probably something that goes in his favour. Pace is quite similar from what I've seen. And then it's about finishing technique and ability. I don't think Johnny Kenny should be allowed to leave Celtic for free. I don't think we should be trying to actively sell him this summer. Like, again, I just think you need to look at like even going in the Belgian league and not starting every week, but playing all the time, different environment, a different football culture. We could easily turn Johnny Kenny into a much better player by loaning him out and looking after him. Yeah, the Gren turning 24 in a couple of days. Fair enough. Osmond is Gary Hooper-esque. I'm glad you kind of see, but yeah, we're kind of vibing here. And then Brendan Rodgers is saying, if CCV is injured, we need another centre back. You're damn right we do, Brendan. Who are we looking at? Most important thing is keeping Dyson. I go along with that. I think we would, to be honest with you. I think if the player said, I'll sign, what would the Motherwell want? Like 6 million quid? Why wouldn't we? Seriously, like for somebody like Lennon Miller, who you could get on a big, juicy contract, nice minimum fee to sell him on. Bum, bum, bum. Nordisland sold an boy today for 10 million. Nordisland, we looked at it on one of the videos on this channel, but Nordisland make hundreds of millions in the transfer market over the last couple of years. They've produced some fantastic players that are at the top end of the game. And no, I'm not, Connor. I think like the main thing, like I think Engels has got some development to go this year, and I think we'll see a different Engels this year. And I think that it will see us gain some ground that we think that we've not really had for a while. There's just no doubt about it that we need. I think the Gren is great relief for central kind of creativity. Kind of what we're missing from peaked Greg Taylor years. This is a weird comparison, but we've just got this huge gaping hole from no Tomoki Iwata and Kwon not working out to have a guy in here that's a shield, that's got that nose for danger that we always talk about here on the channel. And we've previewed a few players on the transfer series so far that I think would be great additions for us. I think my top pick is Chotard, who is at Montpellier. They've just been relegated and whatever. But one of the top centre backs shouts that I've had on the channel on this Wednesday show, this is episode 16. So there's 16 episodes of me doing either this or we fully scout an entire league that a player we've linked to is from, you know. So we've done France, Belgium, Germany, Holland, America, Japan. We've done like 12 leagues or something like that, and a few of them have been live. So I recommend checking out the France one, especially. There's some really good options there. But Lyon, who are on the verge of relegation, I've got Duja Kaleta Carr, who I thought would be a great centre back to come in and make us Champions League level. Maybe that could happen once we've got qualification done. Exactly, my man. Exactly. Robert Goof isn't bad, by the way. Fallu Fal, we did him on the Norwegian video. Really like the look of him as well. A wee bit closer to the Inamura profile, but he's already kind of been in Europe and won a cup and stuff, so maybe not quite the same. I think Celtic are waiting to see, John. I think Evan Ferguson feels like a very Celtic signing, and I think it will happen if he's available. If we're interested, I think it will happen. But I do not think that will happen until we know we're getting Champions League football, because either a transfer fee, a chunky wage, or something, we'll need to make sure that we're able to wash our face on that one. Yeah, exactly. No, probably not. I actually think we'll probably try and scrape by until Jota's return with whoever is in the building. Pardon me. We've seen Ricardo, Bonner and Turley. Almost said Burley there. Bonner and Turley. They can play in these wide attacking spots in an emergency situation. Yeah, I don't see. Maybe once we do the housekeeping stuff, like once Yang, Palma, we run the rule over Tilio and decide to get rid of him, and Kuhn moves out. I'd be surprised if we didn't just get another winger in anyway, because which again would look quite light up here, wouldn't we? Yeah, we should bring in a midfielder that can also playing the game time. Also, a top prospect. Yeah, I seen Ben Summers. Oh, by the way, guys, I seen Ben Summers was in preseason training, and Ben Summers. I don't know. I've not seen him since he's been in Austria, but Ben Summers is Ben Summers is the centre midfielder to be excited about for me. He went on loan at Dunfermline, was one of their players of the year, almost got promoted. Went to Admira Wacker, was one of their best players, almost got promoted. Has been injured enough, and I can confirm. I was I was at the press conference where Tellio was unveiled, and he is tiny, 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 which made me think. Like, see when we got the kind of word or the rumors that Tellio would get a chance, I could see him. We don't know what he's like defensively, like Hatate is, but I wouldn't be surprised if we tried Tellio in a little space like this potentially. Yeah, we definitely do. We do miss a big Joe Hamilton. Good to see you. Thanks for the shout out, my man. We definitely need, and we've been linked to a guy in Switzerland. We spoke about that last week, I think. Still hasn't grown an inch. Summers. Oh, really? That's disappointing. He did look like a youth kid, didn't he? But he's get experience under his belt. I'd bring him off the bench without even thinking about it. It should be. It should be over. And yeah, we need to get more goals from corners. We need more goals from our centre backs in general. I think that's a huge task that we've got for developing the team. And if you look at, we spoke about this in the report card for I can't remember what it was now, but we're chatting about the tight games. Oh, it might have been the Trusty one. We're chatting about tight games and how like Trusty scored one, Scales, Vickers, and Narocki all got one goal this year. If any one of them was capable of 5 goals a season, we would have beat Zagreb away. We might have beat Bruges. We might have not lost to or we might not have drawn with Dundee that time. Trusty shat it. Is he 5'9"? Wow, I didn't realise it was that small. Doesn't look that small on the pitch, by the way. Yeah, I think McKeown's much better on the front foot. I know at Dundee he was more of the McGregor tribute act kind of thing. But I think for us, he's really good on the front foot. Like if he's traveling with the ball, he's running forward, going towards goal. Yeah, good point. Good point. But Kante did have like 5 lungs, didn't he, and 2 hearts, or does have, I should say. Oh, a guy at Groningen. I'll have a wee peek at him. I'll have a wee peek. Let's see what he's got going on. But yeah, I just want to. There were the main things I wanted to say. Is I am quietly optimistic that OSMAND will be a shrewd bit of business in the fullness of time, and I still am juries out on Inamura. Resink. Yeah, there he is there. Let's see what this guy's all about. 22 years old, a number 4 midfielder. Don't think we get height on this. Well, yeah, he looks all right. Need to go and check him out. But yeah, there's a lot of good meat on the bone here. Loves playing as Willem too. 3 goals in 2 games against him. Oh, is that 4 goals in 3 games? It is, by the way. Loves playing Willem too. But yeah, he looks all right. Need to look into him a little bit more. Tackles 1 per 90. That's good. Interceptions is nice. Accurate passing is good. A few top performances. Yeah. Looks like a good guy. That's a striker, but isn't it? I suppose we're talking about Telio. Yeah, I suppose. Well, are you talking about Telio or Summers? Long range passing. So that's the thing, right? I think Narocki had great long range passing. I think it was one of the things that in his first couple of games before he got bombed out forever, that was one of the things that Narocki clearly had for me when he first came to Celtic was he had a really good range of passing. He was really comfortable getting into this zone here. He didn't mind a diag. He didn't mind trying to slice one down here. Narocki was like a good range of passing. The problem we often have, but is it doesn't mean fuck all beyond switching, because the whole opposition we're against kind of. Let's save this. Let's go into like an actual Celtic. Okay, and then let's just go and get some dots. Let's make them blue so we can boo them. Boo. This is kind of what we play against for the most part. And if your centre backs have got long range passing is like one of their main benefits to the team, then we're doing this or we're doing that. We're not really like slicing a team open or hitting Ida over all the crowds or anything. We're probably just taking the ball from one winger. Boom, boom, boom. Find a centre back who can pass it long. Hit this guy. Doesn't work. Boom, 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 boom. Find the centre back who can pass it long. Hit this guy. It's probably the main benefit for it. I don't think it's shockingly slow in training. San Fran Celtic. Are you one of Brendan's alt accounts? Are we getting mixed up with David Stalker and San Fran? Are you? Yeah, I suppose he did have good long range passing, didn't he? But I think his main thing was like headers and stuff, wasn't it? Aerial prowess. Yeah, that's probably a very good point. That's probably a very good point. But there's extra pressure on quality then, isn't there, Snick? I think that's the thing, is if you are shorter, there's just like less room for error. You've got less wiggle room for success. You've got to make it work, because if you are small and then you get your pocket picked, you get mugged off, you make a mistake under pressure, under physical pressure. Oh, he's no big enough. Oh, he's no strong enough. Oh, and you've got that pile on. So if you are going to be smaller in those spots, there's just extra pressure on the quality there. That's the word on the street, Quinny. Well, David Stalker went quiet after we outed him as Brendan Rodgers for a wee while, and he's came back. I don't think because they are tall, they are good. Remember Shane Duffy? No, but it's not at all because they're good, but it's just like if you think back to like the Dortmund game, like Girassi was a unit. Retigui for Atalanta was an absolute unit. We did better against Retigui than we did Girassi, but it's that's what you're trying to compensate for or think about is not playing Ross County, Dundee United, Kilmarnock. We're thinking about playing Rangers and we're thinking about playing Champions League teams. That's the player ID, what it has to fall in line with is, are they good enough to help us in those cases? And when you're thinking about that, first of all, well, ideally, what do we want? We want a big, strong guy, or we want a fast, take no nonsense guy, or yeah, Liam Maguire. Did you DM me on Insta about this? But yeah, but Mika Marmol, who's a player I've been long touting to come to Celtic or praying to come to Celtic, is on his way to Girona. So yeah, we've missed out on that one. I can't do long passes in a low block. Exactly. You're just giving it away, aren't you? So it's not super valuable for us. Yeah, getting the ball forward quicker is a very good. And if he's good on the ball, he should be good at that as well. Micardo came up in chat earlier on. I don't mind Micardo. I think he'll get some minutes or whatever. But I think really for that kind of supplementary, we've got a B team report card video on the channel. It came out a week or two ago, so feel free to check that out if you've not seen it yet. But I think the kind of the next gen coming through, Bonner, Turley, Micardo, Ur, I would put him in there as well. Been very impressed with him whenever I've seen him. He's recently signed a long-term contract, as well as Colby Donovan. Celtic have to be loaning these guys out this year. If it's the Queen's Park and the freedom of movement deal or whatever, I can get behind it. It's fine. I'd much rather it was abroad or in the top league. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair. Sliding away. It's more the sign of the technical quality. Yeah, fair. Yeah, on a permo, I'm with you there. I tip my cap to your reasoning, and I'm on board with you there. But it was just like, yeah, if it's like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not writing the kid off. I'm not wishing him bad. I only want him to do well. But I can only be honest when I'm doing this stuff. I always find when I'm honest, the content is just better. Not that I ever lie or anything, but when I'm able to verbalize what it is I'm feeling, sometimes you just feel things when you're talking about football, watching football, analyzing players and teams. And sometimes I struggle to quantify a feeling I've got or a hunch or a whatever. And that's what I kind of mean. I always feel better. The content seems to do better when I can just verbalize those things. Well, you know, do you find it concerning that the likes of Feyenoord, Bruges, and Copenhagen are in how far ahead they are? I don't find it concerning because we've not really actually invested into doing that game. So the fact that we are where we are, considering, like, by all accounts, we are still on a push bike and everyone else is riding motorbikes when it comes to recruitment, football, sports science, scouting networks, or whatever. So considering we're still on a push bike and we are keeping pace with motorbikes, because Nordisland, you just mentioned it yourself, we can look at Feyenoord and Bruges, Copenhagen. They make just as much, if not more than us in the transfer market over the last 5 to 10 years. So I'm not concerned because we're behind them, because I don't think we've tried to catch up to them. But I'm probably, if I'm concerned about something, I'm concerned that we don't want to overtake these teams, you know, in the pecking order in the food chain. It's a huge concern. Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah. That's a fair point as well. Thank you very much, Anna Permo. Absolutely love it. What's your thoughts on Yang? I think Yang is like, even where Yang has been at, is kind of the ceiling for his Celtic career, I think. I think, like, if you think about the peak, like 2 months that he had this year, him being able to do that across a full season is probably his pinnacle at Celtic. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Is it a valuable player to have in the squad? If he's happy to do that, yeah, I would quite happily keep him on board. Could he get better? I think he could get better. What kind of situation does he get better in? One where he plays every week, and one where he's in a team that's not playing against two banks of four. So I like him. The shouts of loaning him out, I like as well. But I seen it was to a Polish team. It's not going to benefit anyone playing in Poland for a year. Like, no. Legia Warsaw are a big team. They're in Europe. It might help him. It might. But nah. I'd rather send him to like a mid-table team in Portugal, a bottom half team in Belgium, a bottom half team in Holland, and get him to play every week. Because it's not just about the minutes on the park, but it's also that environment to cultivate talent. Portugal, Belgium, and Holland, Denmark are fantastic at it. Poland, Greece, not as convinced. I'd even put him in Croatia before I would do that, you know? No, that's a slight on Croatia or anything, but it's just the domestic league isn't very well thought of, is it, in the wider landscape? Yeah, exactly. I think we tried to do that with Trusty, Engels, and Ida, and I think we will have that moment again this summer once we've done the Champions League qualifier. Like, I think it's actually been Kev Graham, I'm sure, that said it to me, and it's kind of stuck with me. But it feels like anything, or was it Kev? I'm sure it was Kev. I'm sure I've seen somebody say it. I'm sure it was Kev. But like, any transfer that we do that's under like 4 million quid seems to happen really quickly. Like, Bernardo, we negotiated their buyout clause, the loan clause with Benfica, from 6 to 4, which was great negotiating, great bit of business, very happy they done that. But Odenholm, Telio, Yang, Kwon, Inamura, OSMAND, Negren, Kuhn, even Palma, all these guys that cost under 5 million quid. We've never really had much of an insight into, oh, Celtic are looking at these guys and then, oh, it happens. Those deals were all, Celtic are interested in Odenholm. Odenholm signed. Celtic are interested in Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn signed, etc., etc. And I think that's the script where right now, I think Brendan's been told, and David Stalker or San Fran Celtic, whoever is actually Brendan in the chat here, will be able to confirm. But I think the board have said, Brendan, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 million. You can't spend more than 5 million on a single player. Get us ready for the Champions League. And then once you've done that, we've got 30 mil sitting here because of blah de blah selling clauses and frimpongs, and we're selling Kuhn to Leipzig and whatever else happens. So I think there'll be like a 2-stage transfer window. I think we're almost at the end of stage 1. I would like to see another body come in at this point, but I don't think it'll happen. But rest assured, I think once Champions League status is secured, Brendan wants another 2 or 3 signings of actual quality, and I think that'll still happen. Home isn't playing in LA at all. He's had a few games, John, but he's barely kicked a ball. He's very determined to come back to Celtic, and I love that. I really do love that. Players who want to succeed at Celtic through selfish ambition, personal pride, admiration for the club, doesn't really matter where it comes from for me. They want to come back and prove a point and get themselves in the team. Bring it on, man. The door's open. Let's see it. I walked past Ibrox and I heard Rangers fans chanting Neymar. It's just the fifth It shouldn't make me laugh so much, but it did. Real quality attracts more competition in the market, Quinny. That's why it takes more time. Indeed, Big Dom, it does. You're right there. But there's like Negren, very high quality. But again, we're able to just make that move happen. Odenholm, all these other players had other people interested in them, I'm sure, to some extent. But we are maybe the bully boy in that situation. We call the shots. We're the big attraction. We're the big name that's entered the room, and we can make those deals happen a little bit quicker. And yes, Evan Ferguson's and maybe some other players in that kind of mould. You're maybe waiting on that domino effect for that team needs to sign someone else to dislodge this player out the squad, or other things that can happen that way. So I get that too. The quality Yang showed in the last part of the season, I was excited, but I think he blew it with the cup final. I think Yang's number one priority for this summer is get his girlfriend to live in the same postcode as him. It's probably the best thing to do. Maybe Celtic should hire her as a translator or something. I don't know what she does professionally. But yeah, I'm with you there. I don't mind Yang. If Yang wants to do that, Anthony Ralston, James Forrest shift of you're going to start 5 games this season, pal, maybe 10, but you'll play in 80% of matches, 66% of matches, whatever. I think he's fine for it. I've always liked him in the sense of he's tall enough, he's quick enough, he's brave enough. Like Yang is always on the front foot. It's one thing I've always loved about him. You can't teach that to people. It's either something they've got about them where they go on the ball, they're going forward, and I just like that in guys. Yeah, definitely. I would echo that. Base painters still never get paid. Oh no, there's another one here because I see. I thought they signed Ronaldo, but it was just their fans. Ronald McDonald clown to the Kings. Get a taxi for that one. Squad's better in a better place. I think overall it's in a better place. Yeah, I'd probably go along with that, but I'm not sure it's leaps and bounds, is it? Maybe just a bit neater, a bit more refined. I think the squad is more refined now rather than better. Is that maybe a nice way of saying it? Fair enough. He's good with the ball at his feet. That glimpse of goal and his assist at the end of the season was amazing. Yeah. I like him. Don't be promoting that stuff in the chat, guys. We'll all get in trouble here. 3 more quality signings and a few more. Yeah, I think so too. Like somebody asked earlier about Montgomery. I don't think he's fit, but he recently got a new contract. So I don't know do they think of him the same way that they think of Murray? I'm not too sure. It's a hard one to read here what's happening at actual left back because it's a real bag of frogs, isn't it? A real can of worms. But yeah, I would expect now we're probably in pre-Champions League mode. We want to go into this pre-season little kind of schedule that we're in to get ready for the qualifiers. I would like to see another player come in in the way Celtic have done business. Maybe not this window because Tierney, we've seen that coming since January. Inamura has been in the offing for a while, and OSMAND was kind of confirmed before it was confirmed. So I'm not sure we'll get a surprise signing like an Odenholm or a Kwon. Those moves we spoke about before, how they happen a bit quicker. I think we're talking about Basel there. So I don't know if we would come out of the woodwork with a random one at this point, because the last few have been well forecasted, but it's not beyond Celtic's abilities to just pull a rabbit out of the hat. We might have something lined up, and then Lagerbielke goes, and then the Rocky goes, and then before you know it, somebody parachutes into pre-season. Sinisalo, I think Sinisalo will probably get the cup games this year. I think we'll see him play more. I think he'll get this. How many appearances did he end up getting this year? Was it like 6? You'll only get more appearances next year, I think. Not serious injury. Let's hope he's not injured. And yeah, I'm very confident as well. I'm not very confident. I'm confident enough that we keep Hatate as well. I just don't see there being mad interest for him from other teams. And I think Hatate is mature enough to know that the grass isn't always greener. He only needs to look at his pals, to see how that can work out. Not that he won't back himself to be the one that does make it, but again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm quite confident Hatate will stay. Less confident about Nicholas Kuhn, because I think if Leipzig came in for him, or a Brentford, I think that would be enough to turn his head. But I don't think he would leave Celtic to play for, and I know Leipzig aren't in Europe this year, or they're not in the Champions League at least anyway, but I don't think he would go to play for like Augsburg or, these random teams on the continent that aren't in Europe. I think he'd go to the Premier League, to not play European football because it's the Prem. But again, I just don't see many people really. Oh, people are speculating CCV's had surgery. I would be happy Martin Weir. I think that would probably work out quite well, especially if we were to keep Kuhn. And this is the thing, is of all the guys that might leave, like, I really just want to keep Kuhn. Like, because Jota on one side, Dyson through the middle, Ida is back up, and then having Kuhn and Negren. And then if you're saying we get to add in another winger on top of this, and our marquee player, so we'd have Negren, Jota, Ida, Dyson, OSMAND, Kuhn, Forrest, plus one more. Like, how much better could it get for us? So I'd be very happy with that. Don't think Ida would be too happy with that. And it really does mean that the standard, the level of that other player needs to be very high as well. Oh, really? I've not been at my desk most of the day, to be honest with you, so we need to watch out for that one. Would have been nice if he had surgery after the cup final. Yeah, so again, we spoke about this with Vickers before. Vickers isn't leaving us with the record that he's got for injuries and surgeries and whatever as well. If he's had another one come in. So we're going to have Scales and Trusty playing Champions League qualifiers with Inamura being the backup. Is that revealing? Is that the revelation that makes this make sense? Rocky a game. Maybe I would rather keep Naroki than send him back to Poland. Like, rather just keep him in the building in case we needed him. Yeah, I know it's not happened in a while, but we've got this mad habit of having no centre backs and playing near Beaton in defence. Now, obviously, Beaton's not in the squad, but that would probably be Bernardo in the current squad if we had some sort of issue, or whatever. So we don't want to get to that point. So I would, unless we're going to send him to a team in Poland that's going to be playing European football, which the team he was linked to is not, by the way. They missed out on European football. I would rather just keep him, to be honest with you. I don't really see the point. Beyond like wage management issues, if you want to maybe get him off the books, get somebody to contribute towards it, fine. Benny will fit in. Who's Benny? Is that the guy from Switzerland we looked at last week? Jota won't be fit until 26. That's concerning. I was kind of hoping he'd be back this side of Christmas, but anyway, I guess not. Guys, I've had an absolute blast. We've been live here chatting all things Celtic transfers for 80 minutes, which is incredible. Thanks to all you guys that have tuned in. The like button has flown away, by the way. We smashed through 67 likes. We've smashed through 88. and we're very close to 100. If you have not done so already, please do smash the like button, hit subscribe for more content. We'll have a report card video out this week, and we'll be live on Friday. Friday at 5, we'll have the weekly catch up where we'll kind of pick up from where we've left off here, and I'm sure we'll have some other bits and pieces to dive into, and we'll have like I said, I'll have a report card video recorded and out this week as well, and I'll be at the game, so we'll maybe do a wee bit oh crap, when is the game? Is it Friday? Because we might need to alter the schedule, but I'll be at the first friendly, and we'll be able to do, I think it's free to watch on YouTube, so you can watch it as well, but we'll do like a breakdown of it. Anything we've learned, if there's anything to go on. It might just be the youth players, what we've seen from them. Could be a number of different things, but thanks very much to all the love guys in the chat. Thanks very much. Makes all this a lot easier to do. Not that it's hard, but makes it easier when you guys enjoy it. And I'll see you tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. We'll have stuff out. Hit subscribe, turn the notification bell on. Hail, hail, and on the hoops.